Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joshi, and today I am going to do a video about unpopular books. These are books that I have read that I really enjoyed, and I haven't heard or seen much about them anywhere else. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. First up, we have From Sand and Ash by Amy Harmon. And this is such a good book. I read this probably a couple years ago, and it was just so good. It is a historical fiction about this girl. Her name was Eva, and this takes place in Italy in 1943. It's during World War II and with the Jewish population and everything. And Eva and this guy named Angelo are basically raised as family. So they were raised as family, and as they got older, they ended up getting split apart. And Angelo ends up going into being a priest. And so the church calls him, and he basically takes it. He leaves Eva and goes off to be a priest. So then a decade later, Angelo turns out to be a Catholic priest, and Eva has nowhere else to go. So she is obviously Jewish and he is Italian. And Angelo ends up hiding Eva. It's been a while since I read it. But basically Angelo ends up hiding Eva so to protect her. And it's just a really good story about what life was like back in the war in Italy, and how people had to do what they had to do to survive. And it's just a really good book. You should check it out. It's a really good book, and it's called From Sand and Ash by Amy Harmon. You should definitely check it. Next up, we have Love and Gravity by Samantha Soto, which I got this in a subscription box a few years ago. I want to say maybe 2 years ago. And I was told, not sure how accurate it is, but I was told you can only get this in ebook form. It was specifically printed for the subscription company, so that's why we have it in hardback, but I was told that you have to get it in ebook form. But it is definitely worth it. It's so good. It's about this girl named Andrea, and as she was 7 years old, she is in her bedroom and she's playing the cello, and basically these lights and stuff appear and they form a crack in the wall. And through the crack, she sees a candle, a window, a desk, and a boy. The boy sees Andrea too. Then, as quickly as it opened, the crack closes and he vanishes. And over the years, summoning the boy becomes an obsession for Andrea. On her 17th birthday, she receives a 300-year-old love letter from Isaac Newton. And this book is so interesting. It's basically a time travel, but I'll keep going. Andrea knows that Isaac will change the world with his groundbreaking discoveries. The letter tells Andrea that she will change him. As Isaac's letter intensify in passionate intimacy, Andrea grows determined to follow his clues to their shared destiny. Despite a romance in the present, only when she discovers the way into Isaac's time does Andrea realize that she faces a heartbreaking decision between what was and what might be. And this book is so good. I haven't really been into too much time travel, but I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. It was written so well, and you just have to read it for yourself. It was really good. Next up, we have The Ringmaster's Wife by Christy Cameron. This book was such a good book too. It's basically about this young girl named Mabel, and she's really poor, and she doesn't really have much to her name. She decides that she is going to go to the Chicago World's Fair, And while she's there, she ends up meeting John Ringling, which is one of the Ringling brothers for, obviously, the famous Ringling Brothers Circus. And a quarter of a century later, Lady Rosamond Easling boards a ship to America as a last adventure before her arranged marriage. There, the 20s are roaring and rich and famous gather at opulent Gatsby-esque parties. The Jazz Age has arrived, and with it, the golden era of the American circus, whose queen is none other than the Mabel Ringling. When Rosamond's path crosses with Mabel's in the Ringling's glittering world, she makes the life-altering decision to leave behind a comfortable future of estates and property, choosing instead the nomadic life of the trick rider in the Ringling Brothers Circus. It's just another one that you're just gonna have to read. It is such a good story. You get transported to this time, you feel like you're there, you get so attached to the characters, and it's just a really neat story about the circus life and how it came to be, and it's really, really good. You have to check it out. We have Sanctuary by Karen Licks, and this is a really good book too. I read this one a couple years ago. I just got the second one, so I have to get into that one so I can finish the series, but it is so good. This is a sci-fi about aliens, and it kind of reminds me of The Darkest Minds. There's this girl, I think her name is Mackenzie. Her name is Kinsey, and she's trained for her entire life, and she wants to become an elite guard on Sanctuary, which is this space prison for teens that are oh my goodness, I cannot talk. Okay. She wants to become an elite guard on Sanctuary for teens that are too dangerous for Earth. And as a junior guard, she's excited to prove herself to her company, and that means sacrificing anything that won't propel her forward. But when a routine drill goes sideways and Kinsey is taken hostage by prisoners, at first she's confident her commanding officer, who also happens to be her mother, will stop at nothing to secure her freedom. Yet it soon becomes clear that her mother is more concerned with sticking to the protocols than she is with getting Kinsey out safely. As Kinsey forms her own plan to escape, she doesn't realize there's a more sinister threat looming, something ancient and evil that has clawed its way into Sanctuary from the vacuum of space, and Kinsey might have to team up with her captors to survive, all while beginning to suspect there's a darker side to the Omnistellar she knows. So this is basically about Kinsey, and she ends up going down into the prison cells where she's not supposed to be, and the kids down there all have like different powers. And I forgot exactly what happened because it's been a while, but she goes down there and something happens where she gets stuck down there. And anyways, all these kids are down there. They kind of end up taking her off, trying to break free from this prison. And it's just a big adventure about these kids going through outer space, and they encounter aliens. And these aliens are very vicious and terrible. And basically it's just their trip through space and trying to escape this prison. And then Kinsey ends up becoming like she's like one of the most wanted because she ran off with all these kids on this spaceship. And it's really good. You just got to check it out. It's really good. If you like aliens, space, sci-fi, and stuff like that, you'll like this book. It's really good. Next we have Cat and Meg Conquer the World by Anna Pramaza. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. This is another really good book. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like something that's just like, oh wow, this is the most amazing book ever. But it's just a fun book to just read along. It's really good. And it's about this girl, her name is Kat, and she has anxiety. And then there's this other girl, Meg, who hates being alone, and her ADHD keeps pushing people away. And it's basically they get thrown together in this, I think it was a science project. Yeah, a science project. And they have one thing in common, which is an online gaming star, Lumberlegs, and his videos. And basically it's just about them building a friendship together over this gaming world. And it's just a cute little story. Forgot what I was saying again. I tend to do this a lot. I forget everything. And I can't remember which is which, but one of them is a mixed girl and the other girl is a white girl, and it reminds me so much of me and my best friend because she's mixed and obviously I'm white. And it's just their story of just becoming friends and bonding over this video game, and it's a really cute, fun read. Okay, the next one. Okay, next we have Heartstone by L. Catherine White. And this is a Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it is so good. If you like dragons and battling and romance and all that good stuff, you will love this. It is a really, really, really good book. Let's see. Passionate, headstrong Eliza knows this all too well. She's already lost one sister to the invading Griffins, so when the people of Marybourne Manor scrape together the funds to hire a band of riders to hunt down the horde, Eliza is relieved her sister will soon be avenged. Her relief is short-lived with the arrival of the haughty and handsome dragon rider Alistair. Eliza expects a battle, but what she doesn't anticipate is a romantic clash of wills, pitting words and wit against the pride of an ancient house. Nor does she anticipate the mystery that haunts them from Marybourne Manor, with its roots running deep as the foundations of the kingdom itself, where something old and dreadful slumbers, something far more sinister than griffins. It's a war Eliza is ill-prepared to wage, on a battlefield she's never known before, one spanning kingdoms, class lines, and the curious nature of her own heart. So, it's really good. It's basically about the retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it's really good, and it's got dragons and battles and all that good stuff, so check this one out. Lastly, we have my favorite book. I got this one years ago in a subscription box, and I am not one who gets very emotional when reading, but this book definitely made me emotional. Oh, it's such a good but sad book. And that is The Color of Our Sky by Amita Tracy? I don't know how to say her name. But it basically takes place in India in 1986, and it's about this little girl who basically everyone is trying to say that she's like a curse or whatever, so her sister ends up finding a way for her to get taken from the family, and she basically gets sold into the sex slavery. And it's giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. It is, if you don't like stuff that has a lot of detail, this is not the book for you. This talks about all kinds of horrific things, and it's so good, but it's so horrible, and it's just the reality of what people go through. And it's starting to make me emotional now. It's just terrible, but it's so good. And it's let's see, her name is Mukta, a 10-year-old village girl from the lower caste Yelama cult, has come of age and must fulfill her destiny of becoming a temple prostitute, as her mother and grandmother did before her. In an attempt to escape her fate, Mukta is sent to be a house girl for an upper middle class family in Mumbai. There she discovers a friend in the daughter of the family, high-spirited 8-year-old Tara, who helps her recover from the wounds of her past. Tara introduces Mukta to an entirely different world and a friendship that soon becomes a sisterhood. But one night in 1993, Mukta is kidnapped from Tara's family home and disappears shortly thereafter. Tara and her family move to America. A new life in Los Angeles awaits them, but Tara never recovers from the loss of her best friend. 11 years later, Tara, now an adult, returns to India determined to find Mukta. As her search takes her into the brutal underground world of human trafficking, Tara begins to uncover long-buried secrets in her own family that might explain what happened to Mukta and why she came to live with Tara's family in the first place, moving from a traditional Indian village to the bustling modern city of Bombay, to Los Angeles and back again. This is a heartbreaking and beautiful portrait of an unlikely friendship, a story of love, betrayal, and ultimately redemption. I cannot tell you enough of how good this book is. It's after reading this became one of my all-time favorite books. It is so well written. It's just so good. You have to read this. If you're gonna read anything that I recommended out of any of these, make it be this one. This one is so good. I mean, so good. And I believe this was her first book that she wrote. And for her to write such a good book, like, I'm hoping she might have already came out with other stuff, and if she hasn't, I hope she does, because this is such a good book. I can't express it enough. Such a good book. You have to check this one out. So that's gonna be the last on my list here, and thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, please, pretty please, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.